and or Dave. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I saw Steve was there.
Yeah, but we only have 4 commissioners.
I think can Eric be part of it?
Yeah,
Oh, Eric
there
had to
was,
recuse.
well, there was some discussion. He was going to join and then recuse himself for the item that he needs to recuse himself for. But I don't have any other correspondence from any other commissioners at this point.
Is 4 a quorum?
It is, yes.
Yes.
Oh,
And we had told Eric to come and recuse himself, and then it wouldn't be seen as an absence also, you know, because he could attend, but he has to recuse. So
We can have your cat. He obviously found something better to do, so.
yeah.
Well, it's a little after 7, and have we heard from Mayrus? Steve, he's generally very prompt. So,
No, I haven't. Let me just check my email one last time here, just in case there's anyone.
Jolie, yeah, Jolie, you have your cats. I have both my dogs here, so.
Sorry, give me one sec. Just
No
trying.
worries.
I've got 3 different screens. I don't have any
Well,
updates, and he accepted the meeting invite when I was
Okay.
sent out. So.
maybe just a little late, so we should just get started with the beginning.
Yeah. And I'll just let Commissioner Bodnar know that even though you weren't here for the last meeting, you can still vote on the minutes. You can do that. There was a change in those rules, and so I don't know if I've advised on this recently, but you're only approving the minutes. You're not approving the contents. You're just accepting them for filing. So you can vote on it.
All right. Well, great. All right. So let's establish today is Thursday, July 21st. This is the Planning Commission, regular scheduled Planning Commission meeting.
Recording in progress.
Got it. Steve, would you like to do a formal roll call?
Sure, I can do that. Commissioner Bodnar,
Present.
Commissioner Steinle. I don't hear him. He seems to be absent. Commissioner Roche.
here.
Commissioner Ahi. Don't hear a response from him. Commissioner Merrick. Don't hear a response. Vice Chair Menzinger.
We see her. We see her. We just don't hear her.
I'm here.
Great. Yeah,
Got it, thanks. And finally, Chair Doran.
sure. I'm here. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So firstly, for the public that is on the virtual call, we have any items that are not on the agenda for tonight that anybody from the public wishes to speak on. So if anybody has anything, anybody that's on the line has anything they want to talk about that we're not taking action on tonight, raise your hand and our city services manager will call on you. I got your title wrong, but.
That's all right. Just as a reminder, we're using the Zoom platform for this virtual meeting, so it's appreciative if you do raise your hand. There should be an icon in the bottom right hand. Raise your hand or any other icon that you can find, and we will then, it'll help us just kind of order the meeting and the speakers. If you don't have that, we will, or if you can't raise your hand, we will just allow people to unmute themselves and speak at some point, so everybody has an opportunity. But again, if you would like to speak on an item not on the agenda, as the chair just mentioned, please raise your hand, or I don't see any, but if you would like to unmute yourself, we can also give you some time.
Sure. Anybody wants to speak and unmute, please do. I don't hear anybody, don't see anybody jumping up and down, so let's just close that part of the agenda, and now we'll go to the consent calendar, which are approving the planning commission minutes from July the 7th. Do I have a motion to approve? Or any corrections, excuse me, are there any additions, corrections, or revisions first? Okay, I don't hear any, but would somebody like to make a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make the
So moved.
motion.
I'll go ahead, Richard.
Okay. No, go ahead. Ladies first.
Okay, I so move.
Great,
Second.
great. All in favor? Steve, do you have to do a formal roll call, or can we just raise our hands?
I'll do the roll call real quick.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Roche,
Yes.
Commissioner Mensinger,
Yes.
Commissioner Bodnar,
Yes.
and Chair Doran.
Yes, I do see, looks like Commissioner Merrick has joined us.
Yes, I do see him.
Yes, I'm here.
Yay,
And so finally, Commissioner Merrick.
we're approving
Yes.
minutes, great. All right, we can move on. All right, well, I'm going to move on to the public hearing. It looks like the first item that was listed on the original agenda it's going to be re-noticed for a future meeting, and that was the EAH housing on Distal Circle. So we won't be discussing that tonight. We will go right into the re-review of 19 DO1, 19 UPO1, and 19 STO1, which the applicants are Gregory and Angela Galatolo for 4350 El Camino Real. Staff, I know, has a staff report. So who's going to be speaking on that?
Yeah, so for the staff presentation, Radha Hygrieve is going to be presenting for the city. And so I'll let her do the presentation.
Thanks, Steve. Good evening, commissioners. I'm going to share screen in a minute, and just let me know if you can see my screen. This is the presentation for tonight. I'm going to go off video because I believe I'm getting some choppy internet for video buffering, so I will be speaking and presenting. Good evening, planning commissioners. I'm Radha Hygrieve, the consulting senior planner, and today we are reviewing the revised proposal for 4350 El Camino Real project, which was continued from the April 7th hearing, and also the June 16th hearing, because we didn't find the quorum. I will be providing an overview of the revised proposal from the city team. We've got the director in the call. We've got Steve Golden and myself. We've got environmental consultants on the call to answer any technical questions regarding the CEQA impacts of the projects and the ISM&D. We've got the applicants team, Angela and her architect and planner, who would be presenting after me to discuss the revised project. Just to give you an overview, the project is located at the corner of El Camino Real and Los Altos Avenue. The approvals that the applicant is seeking tonight is for the design review, conditional use permit, and tentative map permit. The proposal is for a new multifamily residential development. It consists of 47 for-sale condominium units. It is proposed at 53.85 feet tall, 5 stories above ground, and 2 levels of underground parking spaces. The project is providing 7 affordable housing units to the below market rate housing mix. It seeks 88% density bonus along with 2 concessions. The project is an L-shaped building towards El Camino and Los Altos with open to sky courtyard in the rear. The revised proposal includes a rooftop open space amenity at the top, at the corner of El Camino in Los Altos, of the building corner. Just to give you an overview of the discussion from the April 7th public hearing, the Planning Commission addressed and gave specific direction to the applicant to address the design review deficiencies that were pointed out in the April 7th staff report, pages 13 through 19, and also to address the density bonus deficiencies. There were a list of design review deficiencies that were needed to be addressed in order for staff to make findings for approval. The design was required to improve and allow for more articulation and distinguishing of the project proposal. The feedback from the Planning Commission included reduction of the bulk and mass, addition of detailing of a railing typology, and also to redesign based on the guidelines available in the objective design standards for a better product. In May, the applicant resubmitted a new design, which we see tonight, and these address the deficiencies substantially to present a much improved product. The applicant's architect will be speaking more on these design changes after my presentation. I will be going into details about the density bonus deficiencies that were discussed. There was a lack of equitable distribution amongst the unit types across the project as it came to us on April 7th. The BMR unit did not include a 3-bedroom type at that point, and the distribution was not across all the floors. However, the revised design provided to staff makes some favorable changes to the below market, and I will go into it in detail. What we see tonight is a change in the type of a unit mix for the 2-bedroom and the 3-bedroom units. So this slide gives you an overview of what that is. The 32 2-bedroom became 31, and the number of 3-bedrooms went up by 1 unit. The overall, however, our overall unit numbers and the unit bedroom size does not change between April 7th and today's proposal. The unit distribution, 67% of the overall units are still 2-bedrooms. The majority of the project is 2-bedroom, 13% is a 3-bedroom, whereas when you look at the below market rate distribution at the bottom of this table, all the very low income units are 1-bedroom units. There are no BMR units on the 5th floor in the current proposal. In summary, there are some improvements to the distribution of the affordable unit by bedroom count in the revised proposal because they included a 3-bedroom unit. However, the revised proposal maintains that the proposed location in the 5th floor doesn't have any BMR units, and more than half of the BMR units are still 1-bedroom units, whereas the overall project has a majority of 2-bedroom units. So the staff suggests that 3 1-bedroom units should be converted to 2-bedroom units for a more equitable, affordable housing distribution by bedroom count. Basically, the very low income category, which has all of them as 3 bedrooms, would get distributed to 2 bedrooms and 1 bedroom, as you can see on the table. And staff has included a condition of approval to the resolution of this packet with this recommended unit mix. And with regard to the proposed BMR location and as per the inclusionary housing ordinance, staff feels that if the recommended distribution is agreeable, it would be the project would conform better and conform to the inclusionary housing provisions. The project constants that we already discussed in detail from the April 7th hearing have been The increased 88% density bonus has remained. The constant has also been the eligible 2 concessions that the applicant is requesting and the CEQA component of it. The discretionary density bonus, which the applicant is seeking for 88% density bonus, is something that the discretionary density bonus that they're seeking is something that the city has seen in El Camino Real, and the Planning Commission has recommended to provide some studies from nearby projects, and the staff report brings attention to those two. And the project because they dedicate 12% of affordable housing units to very low income, it would qualify to up to 2 incentives or concessions. The first one is the on-menu concession for height increase, which is something we discussed in detail last time. And it is supportable. And the next one would be the parking aisle reduction. And the traffic analysis shows it clarifies that to allow a reduced parking aisle reduction from 26 to 24 feet would allow for a more economical parking garage by reducing the overall dimension, and it doesn't impact the project vastly, and it is supportable. The required number of parking spaces have been met, and the project, in fact, goes over the required number of parking as seen in the table. The project has a notice of intent has been adopted to adopt the initial study, and the mitigated negative declaration was circulated in January through February. The city received 2 comments, but it did not raise any significant information to substantiate a warrant new recirculation of this project's M&D. And the city council will review it and consider the comments and responses before they can make a decision to adopt this notice of intent. Overall, the staff staff recommends that the project be approved with the recommended conditional change to the BMR unit mix as detailed in conditions of approval number 2 of this report. And staff recommends approval of the design review permit, CUP, and subdivision per attachment A resolution and findings. The applicant, I pass the mic on to the applicant for them to present, and then we're all available for question and answers. Thank you for your time.
Great, thank you so much. Is the applicant or the representative on the line and would like to present?
Good evening, Chair Doran. Yes, I'm present.
Oh, may I make one comment, please, just so the public knows? Let's see, Commissioner Ahi has joined us, and as we know, Commissioner Merrick's joined us. So we have additional members. We just don't have Commissioner Steinle, who had to recuse himself. So I'm sorry, go right ahead, please. And please give us your name.
Good evening. My name is Angie Galatolo, and I am the applicant. I'd like to say that we greatly appreciate tonight's opportunity to review our project and to address the commission and staff concerns. As we have in each stage of our process, we have made difficult and expensive changes to the project and overall feel we've substantially met the design and affordable housing concerns while maintaining the integrity of our high quality development. For tonight's presentation, first I'll turn the floor over to my architect Alex to discuss the design, then to my planner David to discuss the affordable housing and administrative concerns. Finally, following any public comment, I would like to use the 5-minute rebuttal time. Alex, please take it away.
Good evening, Commission. I'm dealing with my screen for a moment. I think my associate Michael Rizza is going to be running the presentation, if I understand it correctly. So Michael, can you bring up our PowerPoint, please? Thank you.
Yep.
Great. So we received a lot of constructive commentary from the commission and the planning department. I want to focus on the changes that we've made to the plans tonight. I know you're already familiar with the project. So starting with the site plan, probably the most important thing, the front entry. We've really worked on the design of that area. We've enhanced the entry plaza with embellished paving, additional landscaping, and some seating. We've also added an entrance canopy, which I'll show you in a later image. Over to the right, we worked substantially on the vehicular entry and access to the project. We pushed the garage ramp further into the building, and we're able to add a truck loading zone parallel to El Camino Real, so that services the building. We also were able to locate a new VTA bus shelter right where the cursor is. That's consistent with VTA standards now. In the courtyard of the building, in the resident amenities area, we have added a grill and a cooking area. We've added edible plantings, and we also added some sculptural elements. They're like giant pebbles that could also double as play time for kids. Michael, can you go to the next, please? This is a little bit of a close-up of the areas I just mentioned, highlighted in yellow, the entry plaza, the vehicular area with the truck loading and bus stop, and an additional element in the lower left, the yellow highlighted stair area is something that I'm going to refer to as we move through the presentation. Next. I'm taking you up to the 5th floor here. Just a couple of things to mention. The cursor is showing you where that east stair has been recessed into the building. That's more consistent with your current code that wasn't in effect when we started the project, but is now, and it doesn't want a taller element to interrupt your primary height on the street-facing facade. So we'll get into that in a minute. Also, the green areas represent how the 5th floor steps back, so reducing the impact of the 5th story. Next, please. This is the roof plan. The yellow area represents the added resident amenity of a roof deck. It's placed far away from any of the adjacent residences, close to the corner of Los Altos and ECR. And one other thing I'd point out about it, if you're able to see the parapet line, we jogged the parapets around the building to give additional interest and breakup to the top line of the building. There's an element of your code now that says nothing should be longer than 25 feet. So we've been trying to follow that. Next. A section through the building, El Camino would be on the right here. It shows how the garage ramp is recessed into the building now, creating a safer level area in front of the building that accommodates also the truck loading. This also illustrates the 5th story setbacks. And just as a reminder, you can see the neighborhood transition from 5 stories at El Camino Real and then 3-story at Peninsula Real and down to the single family in the R1 zone to the left. Next. So in addition to sort of the bigger scale moves, we've worked on a lot of the architectural detailing. We really wanted to emphasize the base, body, and top of the building. That's consistent with your more contemporary code. And in terms of the details of the building, we've recessed the windows and added projected precast sills at the windows. We revised our previous proposal of vinyl windows and are now specifying metal windows. We have a projected belt course at the base, so we're really trying to emphasize that stone base. We moved some materials around. We also designed a single garage entry. That was a comment that came up in the commission. We think that is good for the convenience of entering and exiting. And the material colors are overall lightened. Next. These two elevations kind of foreground the elevations that face Peninsula Real. We've redesigned the fenestration. I want to emphasize that no principal rooms face Peninsula Real. The windows are designed to maintain a good privacy between the two projects. And we also added some eaves at the 5th floor to emphasize the top of the building. Next. A couple of three-dimensional renderings. This is the entry plaza that I referred to, and you can see the entry canopy and the address signage added. There's some additional planting, and we added a bench down in the lower level below the steps. And if you go to the top of the building, we redesigned this projecting element. It's now an open air element. It's metal with wood, so you can actually look up through it and see the sky. We lowered the parapets in that area to sort of reduce the massing. And you can also get a sense of the recessed windows as you move down along the two street frontages. Next. So this is the Los Altos Avenue frontage. You can see how the railings have been changed on the decks, and now they're painted metal railings, giving a greater sense of detail. We redesigned the stoops at the street level to give them more detail. There's 2 stoop entries. You can get a sense of the stone base and the belt course establishing a base. And then finally, I just mentioned right in the middle is where that stair used to project up above the parapet, and you can see it's been recessed way into the building, so it doesn't play a prominent role in this view anymore. Next, this is the last, just a revision to our materials and details palette, noting the metal windows, the metal railings, and the new colors. With that, I would like to pass the baton to David Cornfield. He's going to talk a little bit about the affordable units.
Also, please, you have about 2 minutes left in your presentation time.
Okay, thank you. I'm David Cornfield. Good evening, commissioners and staff. It's nice to be before you tonight and good to see some familiar faces. I am presenting the affordable housing and administrative concerns for the project. We are looking to improve the below market rate housing. We've done some fundamental things. We added a 3-bedroom BMR unit. We converted 2 of the 1-bedroom BMRs to 2 2-bedroom BMRs. And so we have a total of 1 3-bedroom, 4 2-bedroom, and 2 1-bedrooms. And we think BMRs, and we think that addresses the staff's concerns about getting into the proportions of the other units. We've kept the same income levels with 4 moderate and 3 very low, to maintain our density bonus and development incentive approach. And we've kept the distribution to the 4 levels. We really could not identify any policy that requires BMRs on every floor of a project. In terms of the first level, on the lower left there, where the blue star is, that's the new 3-bedroom. Not only is it one of the largest 3-bedroom units in the project, it's also a walk-up unit, and that's very, very desirable. On the second level, we kept those the same, the 2 BMRs there, a 1 and a 2-bedroom. On the third level, we converted a 1-bedroom to a 2-bedroom there, and you can see the change. On the 4th level, we converted the 1-bedroom to a 2-bedroom, and they're really adjacent to each other. The original location's not shown there. In terms of comparing our project, we believe that our project is consistent with the density bonus and BMR distribution of similar projects in El Camino. For example, 4856 El Camino has an 86% density bonus. 4898 El Camino has an 87% density bonus. And there were no fifth level BMRs at 4856 El Camino or at the 5150 El Camino. So with that, I'm concluding with, we had three concerns about the conditions of approval, and we really appreciate staff's work to clean up the resolution and clarify some conditions with this revision of the report. However, we're concerned about condition number 27. We think that just needs a phrase added to it, that these are items that the plan shall include, because this condition number 27 is prior to the building permit, so they can't be accomplished. They're just going to be call-outs on the plan, and we wanted to make that clear. In condition number 27.6, we appreciate the revision to refer to the bench or custom enclosure that VTA has approved us to do there, but there's an errant sentence that we think should be removed. There's a sentence that starts with replace the existing shelter with a new VTA standard shelter with the full back ad panel. And that's actually our concern. We would like to do a better custom enclosure there, or the bench. And so we think that's a confusing sentence to have in there with what VTA has approved. And then finally, condition 45 requires us not only to rebuild our own frontage, which we're glad to do and want to do, but it's requiring us to rebuild the ADA ramp on the southwest corner of the Los Altos El Camino intersection, which is not affected by this project. It's across the street. And so we believe there's no nexus for this. And of course, we would be more than happy to coordinate our work with the city should the city realize any nearby offsite work. But we just don't feel it's appropriate to require that southwest intersection as part of our work. That concludes my aspect of the presentation. If we have any time left, I'll return it to Angie. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, let's bring this back. Or does anybody on the commission have questions for our staff? Go ahead, Ronit.
Okay, so I appreciate the additional detail that we got about the other projects and the density bonuses they got. So I've now written down, I feel like, 3 variations of the unit combos, and I'm trying to understand where is the city in alignment? Where is the city not in alignment in the with the applicant in terms of the distribution? Because I'm not clear on that. What additional changes related to the distribution of below market units is the city asking for?
So when we received the revised proposal in May, those plans were the ones that were analyzed in the staff report, and the distribution that's conditioned in attachment A is what the staff recommends, and I think the applicant's consultant has just agreed now.
Okay, that's what I thought, because when I just calculated what they came up with, it looked like what you had asked for. I was confused. Got it.
Yes, so they just have agreed to accept the staff recommendation as the favorable and the proposed BMR distribution, which we have already conditioned in attachment A.
Great. Okay.
Thank you for clearing that up. Same question. Yeah.
So this is a quick. I'll leave the I'll save this for discussion. Thank you.
Great. So I just want to be clear. So the conditions that you had put in the report that we have now with what the applicant just presented met your approval. I see Jolie saying yes. Okay,
Yes.
that's great. Relative to the BMRs. Okay.
So right now we're doing questions of staff, and then don't forget to open it to the public.
Right. I want to do questions with staff. Can I ask questions with staff for staff first and then open it, or am I out of order, Steve?
Yeah, I think it'd be appropriate too, since the applicant just gave their presentation, to ask questions of the applicant as well.
Sure.
And then you can open it for public comment and then further discuss it amongst the.
And then the applicant will get 5 minutes rebuttal
Sure.
after we close the public hearing. Okay.
So around the same way.
Sorry, I also wanted to point out that in the resolution, there's also income requirements, and I wasn't with a number of two-bedroom BMRs that are being proposed, but we did put in specific income limits, and I didn't quite catch that in their presentation. Maybe that was there or not, but it does sound like they're accepting those new units.
Okay, great. Any other commissioners have questions of staff or the applicant?
I had a quick question just in terms of what David had presented with the bus stop and the southwest ramp. I just wasn't sure exactly, is that just a clerical misunderstanding, or what exactly are you guys being asked to do for that? Maybe staff can answer as well.
I can address, sorry, I've had maybe a little bit more experience with condition number 45. We have addressed this on other projects, and unfortunately the city engineering staff is not here, but similarly on other projects, and 440 First Street was a good example where the crosswalk needed to be modified or relocated. And anytime you have to do that relocation or a ramp, you also need to look at the continuation on the other side and make sure that it meets accessibility requirements at the other side. And that's kind of where it ends. There needs to be some endpoint, but the facility is the crosswalk, including the ramps on either side. And that was the result of another project at 440. So that's an example. We can review that with engineering, but I think that would be their answer, as far as it's the continuation of that facility that needs to be improved, and therefore that condition would stand.
Okay.
Great.
And then with regards to
The bus stop.
Yeah, the bus stop, there might be some semantics there. It maybe they're looking for a deferral to VTA for what VTA wants as far as the bus stop. I think we're saying with a complete new VTA standard shelter, or we could potentially put some language in there, or per VTA, or as an alternative per VTA's, under VTA's discretion for alternative design, because the standard shelter is what VTA, that's the standard. But if there's any sort of alternative, which we've seen in other projects where maybe the design is more consistent with the abutting development, or it's an upgraded design and the developer is willing to put the money into it, but we can modify the language accordingly to ultimately defer to VTA's approach as far as if they'll accept alternative design.
Alternatives, yeah. Okay. Just wanted to know.
Great.
Okay.
And sorry, and then the last one, 27, I'd have to look at it. It seems like maybe it's a little bit out of place with what Mr. Kornfeld said about where this item is now, the section that it's in, and we could take a look at that.
Okay.
I saw Mr. Cornfield has his hand up. Does that satisfy what you were going to ask?
Thank you. I'll just would like briefly add for the commission and staff, we took the liberty of contacting VTA as we work through this project, and in their policies, they allow a range of things depending on ridership and what's there, and so starting their basic policies to replace what's there, and what's there is the full add back panel, which is something that's it's provided by a third party, and VTA gets it donated to them with the provision that they allow ads on it. And that's the type of facility we didn't want to see there in front of a really high quality housing project. So we looked into their policies, and indeed they allow the custom enclosures like was done in front of Whole Foods, where it's architecturally much better. And then there's also a provision for allowing benches at certain bus stops. And we learned and can provide this correspondence from VTA to the staff for their record that in fact, we could do a bench here in accordance with their standards as well. So we haven't quite decided what we want to do here, but we wanted the flexibility, and we definitely do not want to do the full add back panel, because not only are the ads unattractive and we think inappropriate, but those bus stops are not well maintained, and they invite certain activities that we weren't really
Sure. Yeah. So it sounds like what Steve had said, that you guys would probably work through that condition. Okay.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, I think the language could be changed to accept the standard, or at the discretion of VTA to, if they accept an alternative design, that would be, I think, acceptable.
Okay. Thank you.
Any of the other commissioners have questions for either the applicant or staff?
Yeah, I've got a couple questions for the applicant. Can you just confirm that, yes, you agree to the staff recommended size units and the distribution of the BMR units by income level? I heard you say, yes, you've changed the configuration, but I never heard you say, yes, we do agree to the recommended BMR levels.
Yes, that was our intent.
Okay, great. So I thought that was it, but I just wanted to confirm that. My other question has to do with, we always, and this project was no exception, get letters about parking that's being made, concessions, more narrow stalls, less turnaround space, etc. Did you consider putting in less parking here, but making them bigger and more easily maneuverable? Because you are over parked for your requirements.
I think I would defer to the project architect on that.
Yeah, hi. Thanks, David. To answer that question, we didn't really look at it that way. We do parking garages in a lot of jurisdictions, and we know that the dimensions that we utilize work for the project. And so looking at fewer spaces wouldn't actually change the dimensional characteristics of the site. It just turned out that the garage fit under the building on this site with these dimensions. If the site were slightly different, if it was 5 feet bigger in one dimension, the stated dimensions of your parking code would work better. And the other thing I'd add is we have designed other garages in Los Altos, and we've been able to get these parking dimensions approved for residential spaces. They're particularly appropriate for residential. Commercial dimensions are often bigger because people come and go at a greater frequency. So it's maybe a longer answer than you wanted, but we felt like this was the appropriate approach.
Okay, thank you.
Any of the other commissioners, questions? No. All right, if no more questions for applicant or staff, I'd like to open the public hearing.
Commissioner Chair, if I may,
Yes, you may.
just for full disclosure, there was some other conditions that the applicant pointed out to staff it looked like they were provided by the engineering division and not really correct for this project. So I just wanted to point out that the applicant did ask staff to look at those conditions from the previous report that was provided, and we did take out some conditions that were just clearly not part of this project. And I just wanted to fully disclose that those were changes in the resolution that we made.
Great, thank you. All right, let's see, at this point, I'll open the public hearing. If you're on this call or on the Zoom and you'd like to speak on this project, would you raise your hand in the chat? Raise your hand, not in the chat, but raise your hand or unmute yourself and let us know your name.
And just to, again, keep this orderly, once we see hands raised, then the chair will identify how much time you'll have to speak, and I'll put up a timer accordingly. And if you can let us know your name, if it's not on your screen name, that just kind of helps with overall calling of people and the minutes.
I don't really see people lining up here tonight to speak, so.
I don't either, so.
Yeah, Chair, I was doing the same thing. I thought, oh, I must be in the wrong part
Yeah,
of
I know.
the participant list. I was thinking something was, yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
We open the
Nobody's
public,
raised,
let's close it.
well,
you-
nobody's raised their hands, but if anybody would like to speak, you can unmute yourself at this time and just state your name and we'll let you have some time.
I was gonna ask if it's actually, if possible, like I'm trying to raise my hand and I'm not
Oh.
seeing where I would do that.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, you
So
have,
I'm wondering if they have the ability to do it.
how
Yeah.
about now? I just realized there's something.
reactions. It's in reactions. There's a little raised hand bar.
I just changed something and
I don't see it. Oh yeah, now I see it on mine.
okay. So, okay, well,
You raised your hand, Commissioner Bodnar?
No, now I can though. I see
Yeah.
how to do it.
Okay,
sorry for.
But I
not
didn't see that
control.
option before.
yeah,
Um,
thank you.
I see hands, but it's just the commissioners. So I don't see any hands. I don't hear any member of the community speaking, chair, so.
Sure, then we'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission, although the applicant has a 5-minute rebuttal if they would like at this point. So if the applicant would like 5 minutes, please either unmute yourself or raise your hand. Okay, don't see that. So we will go ahead and bring it back to the commission for discussion. Does anybody like to lead off the discussion on this tonight?
I can go.
Okay, I was good. Okay, go ahead. We always
Oh.
wait for you, Mayrose. You know, we always wait for you and then we just,
Well, I actually, I don't have a lot of comments, but I just wanted to say I appreciate the changes that were made since the last meeting. I feel like the entryway and the driveway entrance and the elevations that are facing the building next door with the material changes, I think all of that has been a big improvement. So I really appreciate that. The only comment that I really have is the rooftop deck. It's a little unfortunate because the building has that additional height now for the elevator tower, and it's kind of focused in one area, but the area itself is not very large, and so it seems just like a big design decision for not a big reward. But I think it's fine overall. I just expect council is going to have a lot of opinions on that, so just be prepared to kind of explain that decision. But yeah, overall, I know what this project has had to go through the last few years, so I hope we can recommend it tonight. And that's it.
sure. I want to add something on to what Commissioner Ahi said, because I think sometimes our applicants think that I'm going to put a roof deck in and it will make the project look better. If you want to eliminate that, That's fine, because Commissioner Ivey has a good point. Council usually ends up on the cutting room floor with council. But I also wanted to mention about the parking, because I was actually happy to see 84 stalls on this for a couple of reasons. If you travel on Los Altos Avenue, there are all these new units coming on. There's units on both sides. The parking is really hard over there. And so I know Commissioner Roche always talks about guest parking. This not only accommodates 2 cars per household, which we know really does happen, but it can also apply to guest parking, and it will eliminate some of the congestion on Los Altos Avenue, especially with the senior units across the street and the businesses. So, I think you've done a good job, and thank you for listening to us from the last meeting. It's always hard to send an applicant back and tell them, we want all these significant changes. So we appreciate what you have gone through to make these changes and make your project one that we hope we can approve tonight and send forward.
Being that you mentioned my name, I might just as well talk next. The typical lack of parking is obviously not a case in this situation. So I like the changes they've made. They really have eliminated the negative for me in lots of the areas. The massness of the detail has gone away. I've got notes that it's a beautiful corner site. It's almost the welcome to Los Altos. It's now, in my opinion, a very attractive building. You've added the detailing, and they changed the windows and the awnings you've added. It's all positive. I think the improvement, I was very happy to see that you put another 3-bedroom in. That's really like adding 2 more 2-bedrooms, or 2 more 1-bedrooms, and it's on the ground floor. You've got families, maybe a couple or children, they're on the ground floor. They can get out to transportation. They don't have to go up and down the elevator. Overall, very good. The being in conformity with the units, yes. So overall for me, it's a much more attractive building. I think you've done a very good job. It's still massive, but it's an attractive building now. I think I'd get rid of the rooftop deck. I'm not a fan of rooftop decks. I don't think they work, and the cost of them and liability and so forth. So thank you very much.
I'll chime in.
Yeah, anybody
Sure,
else?
I'll chime in.
Go ahead, sure.
So I agree with my fellow commissioners. I think that there are significant improvements to the design, and I'm supportive of this project. And I like the changes to the entrance and the screening and the articulation and the architectural elements from like the rails. And I'm also like really super appreciative of the cooperation that has happened between our staff and the applicant. And I at the last meeting, there was much more tension, and it felt a little bit like we were just, we came out hot in a denial based on what their ask was. And I asked a lot of questions about the density bonuses that we've given previously on El Camino. And as I've been thinking about it, and as I've been looking at it, so I'm supportive of the project. And my pitch would be, can we try to come up with a formula to explain how we're getting from something that qualifies for 38.75 to 80+%? Because I was on the commission when we gave those 80%, and I will acknowledge it's on us. We did it kind of standing on one foot, and there was kind of a randomness and arbitrariness. We wanted more than the 15% they were giving. And then when we got it, we went from 38.75 to 80 or whatever it was. And as I was looking at this one, and so I am comfortable going to that 80%, but I would like for there to be something predictable and repeatable, so it doesn't feel so subjective and maybe preferential to certain applicants when they come forward. And so the way I look at this one, and I'm not saying this is the right way to do it, but it would be great if we came up with a way to do this. It was hard for me you showed what we gave to the others, 80%, and then what they built, right? But it wasn't clear to me, like, what more did they offer to go from 38.75 to 80%? And I'm not sure that that should be the standard, because we are now have a new housing element. The situation is even more dire. So if we want to go and ask for more, like you did in this case, I feel like that's appropriate, and it's okay to have tension, and it's okay for us to demand more. So the way I calculated this, as I saw it, and my numbers I think are right, but there's a lot of numbers in this, so see it as more like of an example. In this project, the total number of bedrooms the applicant was seeking to build based on whatever distribution in my mind was 90, right? And so to get, and it was 47 units. So they could have 7 units below market was the absolute minimum that they had to offer, right? To get to 15%. And technically it was actually just shy of 15%, it was like 14.
12, yeah.
But you average, anything over.
Yeah.
Like no one is going to do 15.5% if they can do 14.8 and get credit for 15%. So they could have, with 7 units, done 7 one-bedrooms and they would have qualified for 38.75% density bonus, but they wanted more. So they offered what was the equivalent of 9 bedrooms when they did their distribution. And then now, as I calculated, they're actually offering 13 total bedrooms below market. So it's a 50% increase. I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers out, but I'm wondering can we come up with some system where if they offer if we know what the floor is and we see what they're offering and we ask them if they double the number of bedrooms or something, and we give them a credit, like the first 3 floors you don't get extra credit for, but if you put something on the 4th floor or the 5th floor, you do get a little, like something extra. So there's some formula where you can get to 80% that makes sense and is repeatable. So it's just like, I would love for us to come up with something that looks like a system that people can, that we can require. So when someone says, why are you asking me to do this extra bedroom? We can say, well, this is what you need. If you want to get double the density bonus, we want double the number of bedrooms, something like that.
Well, it's an issue of equity. I mean, we talked about in our last meeting, it's an issue of equity too. So I agree with you. Those are my thoughts in the background, but it's an issue of equity of those smaller units being the very low income units. So with the 1 bedroom count. So yeah, staff, I think that she's right.
So commissioners, I'm going to quickly just touch on this as Director Nick Zorns with the City of Los Altos. So a lot of what's being described in your comments right now as it pertains to this project and recent projects is essentially dealing with development standard reform for the CT district. The fact that this particular applicant, as well as others, have asked for a density bonus request above what the state law allows for, which is also allowed within state density bonus laws to request an increase to density above what the state stipulates. And if the city is amenable to it, we can grant that. By virtue of their request, they're actually asking for a development standard that's in line with what we're seeing in El Camino Real, which is effectively what the housing element programs are looking to achieve with the 6th cycle housing element, which is out in draft form for today. So a lot of this is going to be remedied with the implementing programs from the 6th cycle, and will be further crafted and I would say rectify a lot of the concerns and creating objective, not only design criteria, but development standards that are able to be duplicated over and over again for projects and consistently applied by different commissioners as those appointees are changed throughout the years.
So sorry, just to go off of that. So then there's a program in the housing element that talks about the CT zone and removing the density, for instance, that would be the opportunity to then develop some type of standards to go along with that. Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Yes, so by the design of the implementing ordinances, all programs that are listed within the housing element will then be followed by an implementing ordinance. At that time, the commission, the council, as well as the public will have the opportunity to weigh in and craft the exact development standards that would effectively be in place thereafter adoption. So that's then where we're able to refine and define our policies, programs, and the standards.
Got it. Thank you. Okay, so on the commission, would anybody else like to make any remarks about this project?
I'll go ahead.
You,
I kind of support what everybody has said and also very much appreciate Rooney talking about, we really do need some clarity in Nick's explanation that hopefully we're going to get it with the housing element. I also tried to calculate a bunch of numbers and I really wasn't quite sure if I had the proper numerator and denominator as I was doing it. So that will be very helpful. I appreciate them coming back to us with really a much more improved project and for being flexible on material choices, design, as well as more importantly, the BMR unit. So thank you. I can support this. You're muted, Shelley.
yeah, just calling on Commissioner Merrick. Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree. I think that the changes are good. I think I agree with everything that has been said. So I'm also supportive of the project, and I think that it looks a lot better than it was. So that's great.
Sure.
Thank you.
I'll miss the gas station though. So would someone like to make a motion to approve this project?
I was going to say, are we going to get another gas station now?
Yeah, I know. I know that. And
I need to, so Steve or Nick, I think we need to make sure that the council in your motion, it's a motion to adopt make a recommendation to the city council to adopt the mitigated neg deck and the resolution approving the design, 19D01, the UP and the SD, with the conditions as modified. Well, the one condition was already in there with the two bedrooms. And I think Steve reworked the condition about the bus stop. And I think that was the only other conditions we had revised, but we do need to make sure you take an action on the mitigated neg deck as you approve these.
right.
I think, yeah, we're amenable to rewording condition number 27.6. I think we need to look at condition number 27 and we can work with engineering on condition 45. But if you want to make a recommendation specifically for the change to condition 27.6, I think that would, 27.6, that would be appropriate.
Okay. Do we have to call out each one of the resolutions if we make a motion?
There, Chair, there's just one resolution.
Okay,
So
all the so the attachments are part of the resolution. Okay.
yeah, but as City Attorney Houston said, I think it would be appropriate in your motion to specifically recommend adoption of a mitigated negative declaration for city council action.
Okay. Somebody want to take a stab at that? All right, well, I'll try it. Okay. So first I'd like to move to approve the mitigated negative declaration for 4350 El Camino Real with the revised comments from city staff. And then I'd like to move to approve 4350 El Camino Real 19D01, 19UP01, 19SD01 with the comments that were revised per our meeting tonight. And staff will put those comments in the motion so council can see effectively what we've worked on and what those changes were. So I need a second to that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay. All right.
So I can call off the commissioners, and just to be clear, I believe Chair Duran was saying to include a revision to condition 27.6
Right,
for staff's
right.
recommendation.
Right.
Yeah. Clear. Okay, give me one sec. I will call off your names. Commissioner Bodnar,
Yes.
Commissioner Ahi,
Yes.
Commissioner Roche,
Yes.
Commissioner Merrick,
Yes.
Vice Chair Mensinger,
Yes.
and Chair Doran.
Yes, thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you to Angie Galatolo and her architects and consultants. We really appreciate your patience in moving forward with us on this project. We look forward to it. Okay. So now we move on into our agenda. Do any of the commissioners have any reports or comments from any of the city council meetings? Anything happening we should know about? No? Okay. So any future potential agenda items anybody wants to talk about?
Sorry, I think City Attorney Houston was trying to raise her hand.
Oh, there you go. Sorry.
I just wanted, I know it's a little late notice, but I wanted to remind all the planning commissioner that there is an Institute for Local Government webinar. It's free tomorrow on planning commission roles and responsibilities and CEQA and design review. And they're doing it all over the state, but tomorrow's is going to be, I think, in the Santa Cruz, San Benito County area. And I think when it finally gets to Santa Clara County, I think it's going to be later. But if you wanted to tune in and catch that, it is it's available online, and I'm not sure if you have to register or not. Nick, do you know, or I sent you something?
Yeah, we did send that out to commissioners.
Oh, yeah.
And that was for Santa Clara County specifically. I think they requested for commissioners to join in October, I believe was the date. So that email was sent out, and they're kind of going county by county or region by region. So I think not to overwhelm their systems, it's probably preferred for you to join when our county is up. But of course, if you can't join, then it would be great if you could join some other time as well.
Sure. I see that Nick has his hand up. Nick?
Yeah, and then one last plug, since this is going to be the last planning commission meeting before the closure of the housing element public review window. The public review window for the minimum 30 days prior to us doing review and incorporation of comments into the draft does close at midnight on Sunday this coming weekend. So just as a plug to commissioners, as well as to any residents that are still on the call that would like to submit comments on the draft document, please feel free. There's multiple ways to submit that. You can go directly to myself, the Housing Element website, the Housing Element email, any of the staff. It will all get filtered back to me. So definitely please provide your comments if you have input on the critical document as we move forward in the process.
Sounds great. Thank you. There's any other items to discuss? Anybody? Going once, going twice? Well, great. I move to adjourn at whatever time it is.
8:10.
8:10. Great. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for your time.
Good meeting.
Good
Thank
meeting.
you.
Talk soon.
Recording stopped.